I am Nick.
I'm Jean-Luc.
And we're the Wellness Warriors.
Also known as the WWE Gays.
As another episode of Have You Met Ashley and Kevin?
Hi guys, how are you?
Hi guys.
Great, how are you?
Not gonna lie, really glad because we're on vacation this week.
Yes.
It's funny. We haven't taken an actual vacation since, oh my goodness, February of 2020, where we were 5 days consecutively off. Last summer with COVID, we decided to just take Fridays off and said never again.
It's hard to fit the actual work day into every week having to rework a day on the other days. It's just too much.
Doing a 5-day work day in 4 days isn't you don't get the rest in the extra day on the weekend. So
anyways, let's get started with talking about you guys. So we would love to hear just an introduction about yourselves, who you are, where you're from, your journeys, just a general, who are you
synopsis.
guys?
Who are Kevin and Ashley, or Ashley and Kevin?
You go first.
I'm originally from Mississauga, born and raised, and I got out of there when I got too busy, and now we're in a small town called Rockwood, just outside of Guelph, and we've been on Weight Watchers WW for 2.5 years, and yeah, I probably wouldn't have joined if it wasn't for my wife.
Yeah. So I'm Ashley. I grew up in Brampton, and like Kevin said, we're in Rockwood now. So this is probably my 6th go on Weight Watchers, but my most long-term and I guess successful is what I will say. Yeah.
Cool. And you guys are a couple?
A married couple?
Married couple, yeah.
We are.
That's you guys are our first couple interview, so that's why this is very it's like a first moment for us. Every time we have a new a new first.
And it's always cool to talk to other couples that do the journey together. And especially with your dynamic is a little different because Ashley has done WW multiple times and now she finally convinced you to join, or what was that moment that made you finally go, okay, well, if she's doing it, I might as well do it too?
I've done WW a few times. My mom always was on and off, so it's always kind of been a part of my life. I was never totally successful, maybe in my teens. I think there's one graduation picture where it doesn't even look like me because I was successful once, probably around 15, 16, and then I gained it all back. And but for me, for us, Ashley had mentioned WW a few times. We've been together 5, 6 years. Mm-hmm. She had mentioned it a few times that maybe we could do it together. And I was always adamant, no, we don't need to pay for it. We already know what we have to do. And
but we just kept getting bigger.
Yeah.
We kept trying, but we just kept getting bigger.
Part of it was we put off the wedding because we said we wanted to lose the weight before we got married. And then we didn't lose the weight and we got married anyways. Mm-hmm. But then basically what happened with me was I was doing pretty good with, we were working out. It was kind of like a boot camp kind of workout, and I would do it 3-4 days a week. And then once I would get to 4 or 5 weeks, my knees would just be in so much pain that I had to stop. So I would go for about 4 or 5 weeks and then take a month off and then try it again. And then I was just I just got to go see a knee surgeon because it's probably time to do something. I'm probably at that age where I got to do something. I saw 2 surgeons. Both of them said they would not do the surgery. The surgery would have been to repair my torn ACLs. And they would not do the surgery because if they did, it would increase the arthritis pain because it would make the joint tighter. So basically it was the only thing I can do is get the weight off my knees. So that was my first why, because I'm in so much pain. The only thing I can do is just take the weight off. So, and I hadn't weighed myself in a long time. I think it was the next day I weighed myself at work and I could not believe what I saw on the scale. I was 317 pounds. And that day I said to Ashley, okay, we're going. That's it. I have to, because I couldn't do it on my own. And if it costs money, fine. I need something else to get healthier, basically.
And then for you, you said that you've been on a journey for a few times as well. So were you always trying to get him to do it with you and it just never worked? And then this time when you said, okay, when he actually came to you, he said, oh, let's do this. Were you like, okay, let's go. Let's run in there. Were you a little more like, oh, no, I don't want to right now?
So I wasn't actually a member like when Kevin and I met. I had taken a break because, to be honest, like Weight Watchers has changed so much. So the last time I had joined was back when I was, no, I wasn't living in Brampton. Sorry, I was in Acton. But anyways, I went in and I weighed in, and I'm a very slow loser and I stay the same a lot and I do really hard workouts. And at the time I was doing like CrossFit. And so I'm obviously the retention, right? So I just remember having a really bad experience on the scale and I quit, and I didn't want to go back, but I thought when Kevin and I got together, we were struggling, and I thought if we can do it together, maybe just having that support would help me, because I always just struggled alone and then I would just quit. So
I love that you said that, like saying, knowing that maybe now that I have that support, it might be different. So it's like you said, I'm going to give it another chance because doing something different is better than not doing anything at all.
And I also love something that you guys said too. A lot of people ask us saying, oh, wow, this has been easy. You're a couple. You guys it must have been simple. And I want you guys to touch on that. Was it easy being a couple? Is it essential to do this?
Is it easy doing it as a couple?
It definitely helps, but it doesn't make it easy because we're two completely different people. So it's just like meeting anybody and trying to help them through it. Right. And male and female, completely different, right? Like hormones and that time of the month for me is completely different. Right. So and my mindset, like, and God bless males for this because they can like neutralize things a little bit better, whereas I'll go off the wall and be super emotional, right? So but it's definitely not easier.
That is so true too. Like the way the emotions play into this journey is huge, and that really can impact the journey. So of course, but at least now having him as your sounding board where he understands the program, so he's able to maybe guide you in a different way that what he wouldn't have been able to originally because he wasn't there on the same journey as you. So that's amazing.
Yeah, because in the beginning, like Kevin will attest, I used to get on the scale and then just cry. Like I would just bawl in the meeting, and we wouldn't even want to stay because I'd be so defeated from the scale. And then Kev would try to like lift me up. But then, back then I would just eat my feelings for the whole day. So the growth that we've both experienced, especially over the last year, has been, oh my gosh, it's changed us.
One thing it makes me think about with doing it as a couple is it's such a learning process to learn about yourself, but you have to learn so much about your partner to be that support. So it does get easier, but it wasn't easy at the beginning. We had to learn each other's journey. Like I have to know Ashley's journey as much as I know mine, kind of. So it does get easier, but it's not overnight.
Mm-hmm. And I think you just said it right there, Kevin. I think what people assume that when you're together, it's easier because you have two people and you can control each other, but you can't control someone else. Not just that, what you think works for you might not work for someone else. And so as a couple, you have to actually talk and figure out, okay, that works for you. This works for me. How can we meld together so it works for us?
So I'm going to ask the controversial question. I am going to ask it, and it's not even on the questions that I was thinking of asking. Are you both on the same color?
Oh,
I don't even know what color she's on right now. It used to be a big deal.
The cat out of the bag.
We were both on green for a while, but I've just switched to blue as of 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
And you're on green, Kevin?
I'm still on green. Yeah, I switched to green back in November when I started a little bit of a game, just to try something different. I don't think it's really changed anything for me. The main thing was I wouldn't track my 0-point proteins. So I was like, maybe I'm indulging a little bit on the 0-point proteins. But then on green, I found I wasn't eating enough points. So I'm like, well, I need more protein anyway. So for me, it hasn't changed too much.
But you're weighing and measuring everything.
I'm weighing, measuring everything, which does change with green for sure.
And I love that you said that, because a lot of times that's what people really need to do. A lot of people always ask, what plan's better than the other? There's no better plan. It's just you need sometimes to use the other ones to kind of realize what you're doing on another plan. Like if you're on purple and you're like, I'm not losing weight, I'm eating tons of pasta. Then you go back to blue and you realize all the pasta you ate was like 60 points on blue. Then you're like, oh, maybe that's the issue. And then you reconfigure and recheck. So the measuring is probably making you realize from blue that maybe I was eating too much chicken or too much of this protein. So that's a good way to analyze that kind of information.
It's almost like the 3 programs work with the mindset that you're currently in when you really think about it. Isn't it true?
Yep. Yeah.
I never really noticed that until you guys just said that right now. I was like, wow, the programs are all about mindset in a way. And we know that mindset is so important on every aspect of this journey. So
yeah. Ashley, question for you. So what is something you've done on this journey that you never imagined doing?
Honestly, like everything that I'm doing right now, inspiring others. I never thought that I could do this. I'm not even at goal, right? But just being in the mindset to give love to other people and myself, right? Because, you know, what we chatted about before, and I might get emotional, but the amount of, getting emotional, the amount of self-hate that people put towards themselves, towards like the bad food or the bad day or the anxiety or whatever that may look like, the self-love and doing these things for yourself outweigh all of that stuff. And I wish in meetings that we could just blurt in and say, you know, it wasn't the bad cookie that you ate that made you gain the weight. You know, it could be the stress. It could be like, we're all going through so much stress in the world right now, and it's underlying. And, you know, maybe I'm maintaining right now because of all the stress. Like there's a lot. So.
And it's funny. Hey, I love that you said, maybe I'm maintaining right now because of the stress, but yet you put a positive spin on that. You didn't go into the negative. And I think a lot of us, it's how we say it, right? A lot of times we can even just change the story by changing the tone on how we say things and adding that positive spin to it.
And you're right, Ashley. That's one of the biggest pieces. And I think repeat frequent flyers,
repeat offenders,
whatever name you want to use. Slow loser as well. Like took me a long time. And the thing is, the thing that changed was changing that mindset. It's so funny because everybody thinks it's the food you're eating, it's the activity. That's part of it. But when you stop having those moments like you used to have when you stand on a scale and you see something and you cry because you're so distraught about what happened, that's when you start seeing the changes. Because again, that scale is never a full picture of what's going on in your life. You just said it right there. I'm stressed. All these things are happening right now. The scale doesn't know all these things. And I think the fact that you have this new mindset of I'm just taking every day, I'm just trying the best I can, and maintaining is okay. That's the best attitude to have, because you know what? This is a forever journey. We said this multiple times. Anybody who thinks they're coming to W and they're doing this just for 5 months to get the goal and then I can eat whatever I want again, I'm sorry to say, that's never going to happen. So having the mindset you have of trying your best and just taking every day at a time and just always trying your best is the key to success.
Definitely the key.
And I'll be completely honest. I haven't weighed myself in 5 weeks because I was just fluxing like 5 pounds, and then I would get so discouraged. So I go to therapy. So I was talking to my therapist, and she's like, but maybe taking that stress away, like maybe you're tired, because I was exhausted. Actually, that same week I was exhausted. And she was like, maybe you're tired because for 30 years you've been dieting and you've been wondering, what are you doing wrong? What are you doing right? What can you do more of? And so I thought, wow, you're right. So I've taken that stress away, and I know what to do. I'm controlling my food. I'm doing my habits and behaviors. And, you know, right now the scale is not the strongest of my mindset. So to just take it away and focus on all the good, because it used to deplete all the good, and then I would be depleted, right? So I'm just staying on this high right now and trying not to stress. And it's been, I feel so good.
I love that you said, get rid of the scale, work on everything else. It comes to this whole analogy of, guess what? We juggle so many things in our life. And right now, your ball, that scale ball, is the rubber ball that you can just let bounce away on the side because it's not going to break on you. And you know what? You're just going to let it be there. You don't need to pay attention to that. You're paying attention to everything else that is really going to help you through this journey right now. And that metal piece of box is going to catch up when it feels like catching up.
It's so funny how that philosophy of the scale takes a long time, because again, same here. We were obsessed with the scale since I was a child, always getting on it, always being disappointed. It always dictated my week at WW. If I walked to W, if I had a great week and I gained weight and he lost, I'd be like so depressed about it. I wouldn't tell him. I'd keep it bottled up because I didn't want him to feel bad about his loss. But then deep down inside, I'd sit in a workshop and I'd be like, why am I here? What's the point? It's not working. That's how it was for me. And I'm pretty sure you had the same kind of feelings.
100%.
And I think that's one of the best tips, to be honest with you. And the fact that you're saying right now, you're still on this journey and you've finally been able to let go of that scale in the middle of your journey, that is a phenomenal tip to give to people.
Because we had to get to almost the end to figure that out.
For us, COVID.
Yeah, COVID.
It was COVID that finally made us realize that.
Yeah.
That's when we started. That's why now we do our weekly weigh-ins, because we're trying to show people that the scale doesn't really bother us anymore. We go up, we go down, but in the long run, it's always averaging down. And that's what really matters. And I think if people can start really grasping that focus on the average of over time, not just the 1 week, I think people will get discouraged a lot less.
So since Ashley gave a great tip already about the whole scale, I want to actually turn to Kevin and ask you, Kevin, what your number one tip would be to a new member, like come joining WW for the first time.
It's similar, but I went at it kind of at a different angle. I want to weigh in every week, and I want to find positives regardless of what the number says. So I have some notes. The first thing is, please do not focus on the number on the scale. I found a way, you know, as I had a huge mind shift at the beginning of COVID, and I found a way to just find a positive every time the scale was up. I'm up 8 pounds since mid-November. So it's been a slow climb. But I was like, okay, I'm putting my mindset to the test here. I kind of talk a big game about my mindset in meetings and stuff, and I want to be that positive person. The first thing that I said to myself when I wanted to put it to test was, I'm thankful that I have the mindset to handle this game. And I sat with that for the whole day. I was like, wow, that feels so good that I don't have to be disappointed of what the scale is telling me, because I know how my week was more than the scale would know. So it's all about finding positives, enjoying the ride. Because if you're down, if you're stressed, if you're disappointed by what the number is telling you on the scale, and this is for life, it's going to be a tough go. So I just want to find a way to handle the gains or the maintains. You know, the last time I was up 2 weeks ago, I was up 0.2, and I said, it was kind of an aha moment. I was like, I did not beat myself up once this week. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool way to rate my week. I'm not causing stress on myself. You know, so I'm taking the pressure off myself. It was just another way to look at how your week went.
And it's so true, because that stress, as much as it doesn't physically have a number, that you can't put stress on a scale and find out how much it weighs this week, right? But overall, on your entire body, it does weigh so much.
And I love that you both touched on it in different ways. Like you're learning, Ashley, what to do in terms of, you know, what I need for the scale, and you, Kevin, you're doing the same thing. You're not doing the same thing, but different things, but both of you doing the same kind of goal. And something else that I enjoy that you guys said is, a lot of us, the focus on a scale is a huge stressor, like we've been saying. And we've had many situations, we've spoken to a lot of people, like, I've been trying to get the goal, I'm stressed about that number. Every person we've told to say, forget about the number, don't stress about it, just do what you need to do and stop worrying about getting there. Just, do you feel good? Yes, then just enjoy the fact that you're feeling good and keep doing what you've been doing, because you're doing the right thing for your body. Most of those people come back weeks later saying, I didn't stress out, I made it to goal. Because that's the thing, the stressor usually makes you work so hard and your body just doesn't want to do it because it's so stressed out by that stupid number. And once you finally let it go, it's like your body says, thank you.
And it's so funny that the methods, you guys are both doing the exact same mentality, but different ways. And it's so works, like, right?
And funny enough, like I'm a visual person. So visually for the scale, I'm like, oh, right. So taking that visual away and just using my brain visual is helping.
I was gonna say you must be a visual person because I think I see like a board behind you.
Collage.
I love that. That's fantastic. I see next level lady. I love it.
So there was one other thing I wanted to add was over a 4-week period, I was up 0.6, and I finally had the opportunity to take my measurements in that time span. I was down 9.75 inches in that 4 or 5 weeks. And so that was a huge aha moment. I'm gaining weight and losing inches, and you hear about it all of the time, but until you see it yourself, you don't really understand. And that day I was like, imagine how many of us quit because the scale isn't moving, but there's actually progress happening. Like we've both, I'm sure you guys were in that boat before. Mm-hmm. So many people, everyone has been in that boat. You quit when there's actually progress happening.
You said it earlier. You said you would do your boot camps for 4 weeks, right? Just an example, and I'm pretty sure during those boot camps, you probably lost a lot. But say you started walking instead, and you started walking or doing some type of activity. As you're doing the walking, your body's saying, oh, you're doing something new. I better build some muscle here, some muscle there. And what happens is that you start walking for a week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks. And after 3 weeks, like nothing's happened. I'm still gaining and I'm not the same way. Walking's not working. I'm stopping. And that's what almost I think 80% of us do on our journeys. We don't take the time to let the actual things we're doing take the time to work through our bodies, right? Our bodies are so used to doing the same thing for years. So when you start shocking it, at first it works. Like the first time you start shocking your body, you stop, you're like, oh, whoa, I mean, you're eating broccoli? Okay, here's a few pounds, you know? Oh, wow, you're eating Brussels sprouts? Here's another pound. But eventually that starts to plateau because you start bringing activity in, and activity is a completely different ball game because activity means you're building muscle, weighs more. But a lot of us, when we start the activity, we think we're going to drop weight right away. When it doesn't happen, we give up. But if we keep going, we have a lot of people who've gone through this. So I'm glad you guys have noticed that kind of mindset because that's an important mindset shift to get on this journey. I just love it.
And you also said the fact that you took measurements, Kevin, too, which is fantastic because a lot of us don't. We regret that we never did. We never did. So I love that you have been doing that because it goes to show you that not all numbers are bad. Bad.
Exactly. Yep.
So the next question I have for you, Ashley, is what is one short-term goal and long-term goal that you'd like to accomplish?
So my short-term goal is to keep focusing on my behaviors and my habits. So I've just been working on journaling and just I make sure that I move my body every day. So that's short-term. Long-term is I want to accomplish a 5K run, and it scares the crap out of me to start running. I've resisted it, but I truly believe that what you resist is what you need the most. So I am going to start running. Yeah.
Can I steal that from you? What you resist is what you need the most.
That's We're looking awesome. At merchandise right now. That might go behind a t-shirt.
That's awesome.
Okay. As long as my name can be on it.
I love that. Love that. So what made you finally realize that the things that you resist are things that you might need the most? How did that like all of a sudden just like come to you? Like, you know what I mean? Like when did that make you, when that light bulb?
It's kind of been a long time coming, like with anything, right? Like I always loved to work out. I lost myself. And then the denial in it, but like I just kept resisting. Like I would sit on the couch and talk to my mom for 2 hours in the morning with my coffee and say that I didn't have time. So it was actually COVID that made me realize, like, who am I? I'm a hairstylist. So who am I when I'm not behind the chair, for one?
And a very good one, by the way.
Well, thank you. And I wanted to know, like, who I was before life happened. Like, why am I resisting all this stuff? So I started doing what I loved when I was 18. And just all the things I resisted that I used to love. So that's kind of how it started. So I would say thanks to COVID for that.
And that running, it can happen. I was over 300 pounds. So Kevin, you and I, same kind of level of weight. I never thought I could run. I have successfully run a 5K and a 10K. The only thing I want you to do is take your time doing it. Yeah. A lot of us jump into things and say, oh, I want to run a 5K. So you go to first day and try to run and you hurt your shins. Believe me, do not do that. I used to hurt my shins all the time. Okay. I would try to force myself to run as a bigger guy and not take the time to say, walk for a minute, run for a few seconds, and then build it up. So if you really want to try doing it, go ahead. Just take your time. Just like you're doing your journey, that slow pace, do the same thing with your running and you will be able to do it. I can guarantee you someday you will be running.
I love that because I did that with like burpees or jumping jacks. Like I had a thing, I also do a body. And so last week I was doing boost in the morning and I did all the jumping. And when I started like a year ago, like with my activity, I couldn't even do that. I was doing modifies. So, you know, it was a different program, but
it's so funny because you both are kind of reminding me a lot of us because like, it's like the same thing for us. Like us doing jumps, like that doesn't exist. What? And like, you know, like we can do anything now. It's like we can jump, we can fit here, we can do this. Like,
so that made me think of another question actually, and I want to ask Kevin. So do you guys work out together or do you do your own activities? Or do you mingle?
We're kind of separate now. At the beginning of COVID, we were doing a lot of things together. And then especially with Ashley back to work, a few months ago, we got a stationary bike. So we obviously don't do that together.
Well, that would be fun. Like you may balancing her while you're
on the handlebars.
I want a video.
So I guess every so often we'll do a body together. But typically now it's kind of separate. Yeah.
I'm a morning person, so I get up at 6 and I do mine right in the morning, and Kevin wakes up a little bit later and does his. So
are you still doing a body yourself, Kevin, or are you what type of activities do you do? Like what makes you want to be active? Like I know, are you a runner? Like what type of things do you do?
Right now I'm doing the spin bike 3 to 4 days a week, so it's like a half-hour class. That's been really cool. I'm in a 100 crunches a day for 100 days. So I've been doing that for 60 days or something like that. So I try to get out walking. My knees have been acting up lately. So I'm only getting 5,000 or 6,000 steps a day. And so
get rid of only.
What's that?
Get rid of only.
No only.
Yeah.
5,000 steps. Good.
Yeah. So mostly the bike. But I do, there was a time last summer when I felt so good when we were walking that I did start running, and I would do like run half a kilometer on, half a kilometer off. I did that for a few weeks. So I do want to do that again, but I really have to listen to my body. My back is sore, my knees are sore. And the most important thing is just to feel better, right?
Yeah. I cannot agree with you more, Kevin. And I think what you said there was golden rule to follow. Listen to your body, because what is giving yourself, that moment of, oh my God, I can't believe I ran, but then going, oh wow, now I can't even walk for the next 3 days, 5 days. Is it worth it?
Like no, we've often had like we do body step every day, so it's a very high intensity class. If we feel a few days like, oh, my knees or my back, like let's take a break.
Take a break.
Like we literally are. We used to be we only work out Monday to Friday, so we would skip like 4 of those days. And like, oh, we don't work out on the weekends. That never happens. We're now more of we work out when we can.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen today, we don't get mad at ourselves. We just act now.
And it's creating that consistency that works for you, not the perfection. Because if we think that we're going to be able to eat the same foods every day for the rest of our lives, and then apply that same mentality of I'm going to be able to do the exact same activity every single day for the rest of my life, that's just not achievable.
I'm pretty sure at 60, I won't be able to jump on the step class.
We won't be doing high intensity step classes. I hope to.
But that's realistic, right?
Right.
So you guys touched on COVID a lot during your interview. So I'm assuming that it's had an impact on you guys in the last year. So just wondering what kind of negative or positive things have affected your mindset from the whole COVID experience.
I can go. So prior to COVID, like I remember when we first went to Weight Watchers, WW, my mindset was, I'm going to lose 100 pounds, regardless of what it takes. And when we were in the workshop, I was kind of cocky about it. I was like, these other people are struggling, but all they have to do is tell themselves they're going to do it. But I started to realize, when we made our changes going into COVID, that it's so much deeper than that. You can't just try to be happy and positive about it and say it's going to happen. But for us, it was like, there was a lot of short-term goals. Like, we're going to lose 20, 30 pounds to go on vacation. And then you gain 15 pounds on vacation, and then you take 6 months off. Mm-hmm. And then, with COVID was like, I was pretty much, I think I was probably done with WW, just going into COVID. I was kind of on a break before COVID. When we went to virtuals, I was like, that's not for me. I don't see myself doing that. Mm-hmm. We kind of acted like we were on vacation. I was like, well, we can't go anywhere. I'm just going to pretend I'm on vacation. And yep, the LCBO was still open. so I did about 3 weeks of that, to be honest. And then Ashley mentioned Bill Huck. And
I was Zooming everywhere. Lisa and I Zoomed everywhere. And
sorry, always. Not the Charlie's twin is in the other room.
And so I started following Bill's story. Then we went to Bill's workshop. His coach is Pam, and that was a huge mindset shift for us. Everything changed. We didn't really realize how much sharing would help us. Mm-hmm. We didn't know that how much that was part of the journey, mm-hmm. or the just the community. Like, and we started meeting so many people that we call our friends across Canada now. And we don't have to have one coach. We have multiple coaches, and the mindset shift was unbelievable. Like, it was changed everything. I had no idea. I feel like I had no idea what this journey was about, mm-hmm. prior to that.
Kevin, I love that you said that, because I think a lot of men, us included, think the same way you did. A lot of us do, because we used to be the same way. Workshops we used to go, but we never saw the importance of how it was really affecting our journey. When COVID hit and we started going to a lot of workshops, we realized that the community is actually one of the most important pillars of this journey. That's why we've embraced our community in terms of the Wellness Warriors community, because of the fact that we realize it's very important.
And I also think one of the things we realize is, back in the day, and maybe you guys might relate to this as well, we'd only go to one workshop a week. Yeah. So you'd go into your workshop, you'd somewhat meet acquaintances in these workshops, and then you'd never see them the following week. While now, you go into any workshop and you might know at least one or two people, and you're going to 3 or 4 of them a day sometimes.
And I won't lie, the fact that there's private chat, when you used to go to workshops in person, you couldn't talk to the person next to you. Now you can be like, hey, Amanda, hey, that. You can actually chat and still listen at the same time, which adds a whole other level of experience when you're doing this, right?
Yep.
Or you would pop in, say you couldn't weigh in on your normal day, so you'd go on a different day. And I'm such an introvert, and it was so uncomfortable to not know anybody. Right. Yeah. Whereas so the virtuals were kind of funny, because I kind of had that feeling going into different virtuals. I felt like I was intruding. So our roots are in the East Coast. So I would go to a lot of Nova Scotia and Newfoundlander workshops, and it was always Ashley and Lisa from Ontario. Oh. And so it was really, really cool. And then that's kind of the progression of how that started. And then it became Ashley and Kevin and Lisa. And
I love that, though.
I love that.
That you know what? That's so cool. And it's so funny that this terrible thing that's happened to the world, because it is like we'll never look at COVID in a whole as being the best experience anybody's ever gone through, because there's so much tragedy. But again, looking at that silver lining and picking the things that if it wasn't for COVID, we would not have created these relationships.
I don't think I would have made it a goal last year if it wasn't for our lifetime last year, if it wasn't for COVID. It really, I think what it did for you guys too, it made you realize that it's about me. And I love that you said about the sharing too, Kevin, because I feel that Weight Watchers workshops are like Alcoholics Anonymous. I've never been alcoholic myself, but I have a very big food addiction. You put me in a room today with pizza, lasagna, chips, I will eat the entire room. I have not curbed that.
Including the walls, table, and everything else.
Cutlery, everything. And when you talk at meetings about these issues, you realize you're not the only one. I used to always think that I was the only one that would grab a box of pasta, cook it, and then wash all the dishes, hide the box so he wouldn't see it, and then be like, oh, we just need more pasta. I don't know, maybe we didn't buy it this week. That's what I used to do. But the thing is, when you start vocalizing those issues and saying that these things you're going through in a forum, you'd be like, somebody else says, oh, I used to do this with peanut butter. I used to do that with, and you're like, oh, wow, I'm not the only one. I think you guys probably got that same feeling when you were starting to share. You started realizing, oh, wow, so-and-so is going through it too. And then you got those commonalities. You can actually talk with people about it.
Yeah.
And it's so much more than just food.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah.
So much more.
And, you know, control, like what the hell is control when the whole, like, you know, what's control? And you learning to pivot. And, you know, I remember, I'll be completely honest here, I was on a virtual, and actually the topic was about control. And I was leaving the workshop to go eat handfuls of mini eggs because at the beginning of COVID. So I would open the dishwasher, take a handful, eat them, and come back to the meeting and be all studious with my notes and stuff. And it was actually Pam, and she said, she looked right in the camera and she said, guys, you've always had control. It's the choices that you're making. And I literally was like, yeah, mini eggs in my teeth, and I gotta change this. This.
It's funny when things get told to you and you think they're not even talking to you directly, but you feel that the words are being like said specifically to you.
Yeah.
Those are those aha moments that you need to.
You need to go on to, like, you need to register those.
And you registered it. Apparently, you registered.
I did. I wrote it down and put it on the fridge.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
And I threw the mini eggs in the garbage and put dish soap on them. that was my first time ever throwing out food. And I have to tell you, I sat on the couch after that and I felt so empowered. And I know some people are against it and they might not agree, but for me in that moment, I had to do that. You know, I took my power back is what happened.
The journey is about your power. So anybody else says, like, doesn't matter.
We said it for a long time. And when people used to visit us, it was always like, bring whatever you want over. We don't bring that food into our house now. We have certain things that have replaced the mini eggs and replaced those things. So that way, when we do have those cravings, we feel like we have control over it because it's smaller portions or it's something that makes us feel like we're having it. But if someone's coming over and they bring it to us, we're having
fair game.
We that's been a rule for us.
If I go to a party, the cheese tray, half of it is eaten by me. The chip bowls emptied by me. And it's because I know I don't have that control.
But what I was going with that is the fact that when they come over, it goes home with them. Or like you just said, I'm emptying it out in the garbage where it's not like wrapped in the bag. So that way I can go back and grab it when I...
Yes. Yeah, I know. Me too.
Because as desperate as I've been, digging through the garbage, putting it down at the bottom, putting stuff on top, I'll still go back and get it. I've done it. I've gone back and got it. If you don't actually physically empty it out and destroy it, it's too easily accessible that way.
And I'll do that at a restaurant too. Like if say it's an indulgent meal or something, I will, like, if I'm full and I'm satisfied and I don't want to bring it home, I'll like put pepper or salt all over it or something, because otherwise I'll pick at it until she comes back or he comes back to the table. Yeah. And so then it's gone and I'm super full and I'm like, oh my God, I meant to have that taken away. So I really
love that idea. That is such a cool idea. And I know it sounds funny because we're saying, yes, great idea, waste food, but it's really not, because at that point in time, it's taking care of yourself.
Yeah, and it's not just that, it would still be wasted anyways, because if you're not going to go back to the kitchen. So yeah, because we're big in the same way. We don't like wasting food, but again, this is about your own journey. Sometimes you have to take your own power, and that means you have to get rid of food, and that it happens. It's you don't do it all the time. It's like every week you buy a bag of mini eggs, have two, and then throw the whole bag out every single week, right?
Right.
But it's an empowerment thing. It's again, like you said, it's taking control and knowing that you have it.
Yeah. Yeah,
we have the control.
Because how often do we go to food, right, for everything? So to have the control for once in my life felt really, really good.
So one thing that I've worked on that's kind of related, and it stems from something that Bill had said. I really work on changing what my favorite foods are based on how they make me feel physically or mentally. So if they make me beat myself up, or let's say, you know, previously my favorite food would be like takeout pizza. But I would have 5 or 6 slices and I would feel sick after. So I really trained myself to think, well, that can't be my favorite food if it doesn't make me feel good. And another cool thing that I do now when we're at a restaurant, I'm going to choose the food that I would have previously chosen that might have previously been my favorite food. And I'm going to make the decision to not have it. And just giving myself that power to say it's no problem to choose the food I would have had, but actually decide to not have it. And that's changed a lot for me for control. And then for those little pauses when you're in that moment, when there's food that you didn't expect, or it's a quick pause now. It's changed a lot for me. It's taken a long time to get there, but
I love that, because that's what I call positivity. It's you're pausing in that moment and saying, what is a positive thing that I can do for myself right now and make a choice that's going to impact me in a good way instead of in a bad way.
And the thing too that you touched upon there too is that when you start realizing that, you know, what you're realizing in yourself is that when you go to the restaurant and you're looking at that item, you're realizing that this isn't my last time I'll be eating this.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of us on these diets always say, I'm not having this ever again. So when you walk to a restaurant and there's pizza, you're like, oh my God, I haven't had it forever and I can have it right now. I'm ordering at a large and I'm eating every single slice. True story. Yep. And that's the thing that happens. But if you walk to a restaurant, you look at the menu, you say, today's not the day. I'll have a salad today. I might have this next week. And that's one of the powerful pieces that you start learning. I love that you guys have learned that lesson, because that's one of the major lessons to learn, because I know for 6 years on Journey, every time we would go to a restaurant, we would always indulge. We never went to a restaurant really and tried to pick something healthy or try to replace something. We'd always be like, oh, it's restaurant, we're allowed, because we don't eat out much. So our indulgences were always restaurant foods.
It was never about going out because I didn't want to cook dinner or do the dishes. It's what can we have when we go out tonight?
Yeah, because we knew we could cheat. We could have whatever we wanted. And so because in our mind, I never have pasta again, I never have pizza again, or Chinese food. And so we would always glom onto, we'll go have it and we'll have as much as we want because we'll never have it again.
And I want to ask you something about that technique, because it's technically a technique, Kevin. So do you physically actually go through the menu, say, this is what I would normally order, and then tell yourself, no, I need to pick something else? Do you actually do? I love that. That is flipping fantastic.
Yeah, and the first time I did it was a huge aha moment.
Well, we did it together.
It was the first day of vacation. We were on our way to a cottage. So on vacation for me is a free for all. It's always like, I'm going to get that food that I don't care how it makes me feel or how much weight I gain. I'm on vacation. I'm here to enjoy vacation. And then it was an aha moment. Like, I'm on vacation and I don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be a free for all. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And just the power that it gives yourself is huge.
And we had the best vacation. I mean, we did all home cooked healthy meals. And
we brought a ton of food. My SUV was full of just food.
But good foods, right? And we felt amazing after. We hiked all week and, we felt really good.
It's so funny because you know what?
Like us. You sound like us.
Vacations to us back in the day always revolved around the wrong foods. Yeah. It was the wrong foods.
We planned out where we would go based on the food.
So what restaurant is closer?
Yeah.
Every meal. We couldn't skip a meal. It had to be lunch, breakfast, dinner. Lunch was like a big buffet with like pancakes and as much like, and then that's how we used to be. And then we realized, why are we doing this all the time? Like, what's the point? Vacation is just a time to relax and feel good. Why does it have to be such a big, heavy food?
And probably like the two of you, did we ever feel good during vacation after eating all that? No, because then by the time we ate everything we did, we wouldn't want to do anything because we were just out of energy.
And I'm wondering if you guys did like we did. Did you guys always before vacation try to lose as much weight possible because you knew you're going on vacation, you would gain some of it back?
Yes.
Okay, so
100%.
So funny story, we went to Cape Breton for 2 weeks. This is back like years ago. And I think I'd hit 40 pounds down just before we left. And I came back and had gained 22 pounds. But I drank a lot. I ate all the foods. I still worked out. Like I ran the beach every day or power walked, whatever. But it was amazing how fast it came on. But it was the salt. It was everything. So I was ready to quit. I was like, oh my God.
Well, how long did it take you to get back?
A long time. Since COVID. Yeah. That was August of 2019. And when COVID hit, that's when I restarted.
Wow.
Because I just made all kinds of excuses. Yeah. But I've learned, that all my mistakes serve a purpose. Like instead of shaming myself, it's all about self-love and learning.
Well, it's funny because a lot of times when you finally have that aha moment and say, oh, wow, all of that stuff that I did prior to my moment of saying, now I know where my head is, that was part of the journey. Yeah. We kind of want to block it and just start from that moment where we're finally able to apply the mindset. But no, everything else was so important because you would never have come to that moment if it wasn't for everything else.
And those lessons aren't done. That's another thing that you guys have to be willing and ready for. Lessons will happen. Like we're still learning. Christmas is a big issue for us. We gain lots of weight every Christmas. Every year we try. This is our third year that we had Christmas on Journey. Every year we try something new to try to curb that weight gain. Last year, what we tried didn't work either. We gained 15 pounds. It took us 2 months to lose it all. And so next year we're going to try something different. And what was cool is that this year we actually sat down this year and after Christmas, we sat down and said, "Okay, this is what we did. How do we feel?" And we felt horrible that week. We felt we had a heartburn, we had indigestion, we were enjoying the foods when it was happening, but then the effects afterwards every night was terrible. So we're like, do we want to feel like this every Christmas? No. Okay, so next year, instead of doing the 7 bags of chips every day, the desserts we got, an indulgent meal every day, maybe we'll do 4 indulgent meals a week of Christmas, not 7. Maybe we'll reduce chips to 4 bags of chips. Or no, we actually said this time we're doing 1 at a time.
1 at a time. If we want another bag, we need to physically walk to the store to get another bag. There's no way that 7 bags in the house anymore.
But that's again, we're on year 10 of WW.
And we're still having to
figure it out. So that's why I love that you guys are finding these new lessons as you're progressing through your journey. Those aha moments of your vacations, going to restaurants will keep happening. And you'll keep learning things that'll make things easier on you guys. So this was an amazing.
Yeah, I love this. You guys are absolutely adorable. First of all,
one last thing I wanted to say about the difference between pre-COVID and now is I feel like we used to find excuses to think that we cannot do this. So, and now I find every excuse possible to keep going and to know that I can do this. And that was one of the biggest things for me. The most important thing is to keep going, not the number on the scale.
Yes,
I love that.
And again, you just said another thing. You redefined what it meant about you redefine things. And like what Bill Huck was really into your head, because that's what you've been doing. You redefined what a snack means. You redefined what the choices I am. So it's still using the same vocabulary, but the meaning of what it is different now. It's like I always said this. Someone said at a workshop, why does snack mean pantry?
Yeah. It can mean fridge.
Why can't snack mean refrigerator? Because normally that's where you find your fruits and your veggies in the fridge. But when I think snack, I think cookies and this. But no, it doesn't need to mean that. But we need to be the ones to change the definitions.
So before we end, I want to actually ask Kevin about, you're a musician. Can you talk about that a bit? So people are watching, if you want to find your music, I just want people to actually know about you, because I think it's an amazing thing.
And actually, if you have any hair, if you want to promote your hairdressing as well,
right ahead.
Go for it.
Yeah.
So my artist name is Woody Woodburn. Everyone calls me Woody. Most people don't even call me Kevin. It's kind of funny, but except for Ashley and my mom probably. So yeah, you can find me on Facebook or YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music under Woody Woodburn. I'm going to be doing another live stream concert this Friday night at 8 p.m. I'll be posting that on Facebook, but search anywhere for Woody Woodburn.
Awesome.
That's amazing. And you're a phenomenal singer, by the way, Woody. Such a great voice. Well, one day we will sing together. I'll harmonize.
I'll get you guys ready for the show.
Great. I could really use a haircut right now, Ashley. I did this myself.
Well, I did it. I did his, he did mine.
This was the best one. Our first COVID haircut was.
Oh, our second one was terrible too. This is the best one.
If you need tutorials, I can help.
Love it, love it. Thank you both so much for agreeing to doing this review for us. As you guys know, Have You Met Have You Met series is all about sharing your story. So if you want to share your story, send us an email at www.gays@gmail.com.
And don't forget that Ashley and Kevin are actually going to be with us next week on our fireside chat. So you'll be able to ask them more in-depth questions on your own. And hopefully you enjoyed this interview. They are a great couple and they are fantastic inspiration for any couple or anyone out there.
So if you like this video, please hit the like button below, subscribe to our channel, and also you can find us on all social media using #WGays or @the WGays. Thank you both.
Bye. Thank you.